Store.
No, John, you should sing it.
Rolling.
Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic podcast number 1278.
Holy crap.
Broadcasting throughout the world, and we really need to re-examine whether we should do one every day. It's,
Okay.
it's March 19th, 2024. 79 degrees on this day in 2012. That's about the sixth day in a row. 2012 was a marvelous spring. It was just beautiful. And this is, by the way, the first day of spring for 2024. 15 below on this day in 1875. Although I will note, on behalf of the Royal Order of 21sters, whose members live in all 50 states and around the world, that we've been celebrating spring since before Christmas. So this is just gravy to us. Thank you. How are you? Nice to see you. And let's hear the song.
Hail the Flashlight King.
Hail you! And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Heidt in the newsroom, and of course, the Rookie. Here is your Flashlight King, Fireworks Commissioner, and the Keeper of Common Sense, your mayor, Joe Sushiro.
Sir, sunset, 7:25 p.m. tonight.
Well, we've gained. It's light out till 8:15 for people's sake.
That's when I go to bed, Matthew.
Good night, honey.
It turns out we're not going to have to worry about our driving gas-powered cars. It turns out we're not going to have to worry about using air conditioning in our homes or using too much electricity because we're destroying the earth. No, it turns out that the Atlantic Ocean could be swallowed by a terrifying ring of fire. And this is according to science, because they've discovered a sleeping subduction zone beneath the Gibraltar Strait.
Yeah, we're laying down some serious stuff
And
now.
that could swallow the Atlantic Ocean. It's located beneath the Gibraltar Strait. That's that narrow gap of water between Spain and Morocco.
Impossible. Isn't that covered by Freddie Smoot?
No. And it was a Daily Mail piece that Jordy alerted me to. I didn't click on it because I knew it'd be 42 pages long. But that's the kind of thing we should, you want to worry about something?
Yeah.
Worry about the Atlantic. Think of all the stuff you'd find.
You get some pretty cool ships.
See, if the Atlantic Ocean dried up and you stood on the shore of New Jersey, for example,
Yeah.
you'd be looking out, but there would be a big hole in the earth. As opposed to, let's say, White Bear Lake dried up and you stood on the shore and you looked out, you might as well be looking across a farm field.
Okay.
You get the difference?
I do. White Bear, that's
shallow shelf, calls it a shallow shelf lake, as are most lakes in Minnesota.
Mhm.
Shallow shelf, meaning that if you looked out across it in the event it dried up, you'd see nothing but a field. Because your eye wouldn't take into account the slow descension of the earth.
My question for your Atlantic being swallowed up.
Well, don't count on me.
Where do all the water go?
It would go into the black hole, the subduction zone. It would go into the middle of the earth.
And then go be recycled from the Itasca to the
Do I look like I would know the answer
I
to
don't
that?
know, but it pains me, and I can't get over the mathematical equation that the Mississippi River just keeps giving us water.
That's the way it works.
Where the hell is all that water from?
Tributaries.
From the ground.
It's tributaries, my friend.
From
That
the water
far north.
department. It comes
Okay.
from the water department.
Matthew, do you know what a tributary is?
Yes, it's when you pay homage to someone.
Exactly.
Yep.
You're exactly
What is
correct.
his tributary? Well, he's having a roast this weekend.
And if you'd like to help him out, GL Mansplainers, it's rookie at
Yeah,
garagelogic.com.
help me out. I need the email. I only get one email a day. I used to get a whole bunch of emails. I don't get emails anymore.
I have mentioned before the young activists who come up the driveway with their clipboards, and I find them unwelcome.
Even if they're listeners of the show, their
Well, the
parents-
dad was a listener.
Yeah.
But I got a great email from John who writes, I've had Greenpeace-type climate change activists with clipboard in hand at my South Minneapolis door over the years. I long ago came up with a different approach dealing with them. I'm stealing this guy's idea, by the way. We all should. I thank them, tell them how much I agree with them, and befriending them. Then I apologize profusely for being a baby boomer and destroying their world. At this point, they really like me. Next, I asked them if they've ever heard of the militant Hedonist Climate Society. Needless to say, they never have. I tell them I'm a member and we have scientifically determined that it is too late to save the human race from climate disaster. I use forms of the word science a lot. They seem to like that. I then tell them to look at all the cars down my street or on the freeways, all the planes in the skies, coal plants everywhere, Russia, India, China, etc., not doing anything for the climate. The very experts you look to give us just 5, 10 years, whatever. As a result, we hedonists have scientifically and logically decided it's too late for Mother Earth. We must live as excessively as possible to eradicate the human race as soon as possible. It's just the right thing to do so the earth can heal. Therefore, we turn on our furnaces and air conditioners up as high as we can stand. We drive the biggest gas guzzlers, take lavish vacations, anything we can do to pollute the earth faster. We even are scientifically studying if voluntary suicide is a possible alternative, as it will show how dedicated we are to ending humanity and bringing more people to our cause. I tell them it is something I'm considering becoming a martyr for the cause. I always end with, we evil humans are not natural to this earth since we only destroy. I then look down at my little dog who is by my side. I tell the clipboarder that there will be collateral damage and it will be the poor animals we have selfishly domesticated over thousands of years for meat and companionship. If I could have had a tear in my eye as explain that, without the evil humans who domesticated them, they will probably not survive. They are always speechless at this point and just nodding silently. They turn around and wander off, always forgetting to ask for a signature or money. John O.
So he just wears them out.
Wears them out.
Yeah.
I had my neighbor.
Kill him with kindness.
My neighbor Chet did that to the, who were the missionaries?
The Mormons.
No.
Latter-day Saints.
Seventh-day Adventists?
Yeah.
Jehovah's Witness.
Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah.
They would come to it. They would come to his door, and he would say, "Come on in, come on in." And after 20 minutes, they're dying. They can't.
They're trying to get out.
Put
get
this
out.
mask on.
They're trying to get out. They can't. He won't let them go.
That's the great scene in the Book of Mormon. The kid goes out. He's going on his calls. They say, "Yeah, come on in. You thirsty? I'll have a Coca-Cola. You want a sandwich? Yeah, I'm hungry. Okay." Sit down there for 5 minutes. It's uncomfortable silence. The homeowner says, "What do we do next?" The kid says, "I don't know. I've never got this far." See, because they always just shoo him away. You wouldn't understand. You're not
Right.
Mormon. You're not Mormon.
More of a highbrow.
Right?
Oh, you are.
Yeah, I know Mormons.
Hello?
The whole wife thing.
The media, the conventional news gatherers, are having quite a bit of fun by attempting to sell the idea that Trump said if he loses the election, there'll be a bloodbath. Some of these we're just going to have to take on.
Poor choice of words, though.
I watched him say it.
Didn't he say economic?
Absolutely. He's talking about Chinese. Well, here, let Scott, who's never afraid and always pushing back from Inver Grove, say it. Orange Man was spot on with his assessment for what will happen if China gets their cars into the U.S. market via its building plants in Mexico. It will be a proverbial bloodbath for the big three, Ford, GM, and Stellantis. Another fellow member, he was at a luncheon club, is a guy named Tom Leonard, who owns Fury Motors. He was recently at a meeting in Detroit with other car dealers, and the talk was all about China's pursuit of manufacturing EVs in Mexico. Currently, China can't sell to the U.S., but via Mexico, they will have an end around into the U.S. auto market. Evidently, they can produce an EV comparable to one of the big three's $90,000 models for just around $40,000. Europe is currently lamenting the day they allowed Chinese cars into their markets. I find great irony as the UAW forced the big three to their knees last November, forcing 25% increases in wages and the bolstering of retirement benefits for their 150,000 rank and file members. These workers are also the very same workers who will religiously pull the Democratic ticket come November and will no doubt be the first ones bitching about the influx of low-priced Chinese vehicles.
Yep.
This time, Trump's hyperbole was spot on, like him or not, and folks better start paying attention to the influx of Chinese migrants at the southern border, the purchasing of millions of acres of farmland throughout the country by Chinese companies, and the continued funding of all of this country's ridiculously overspending on giveaway programs, noting that the annual interest rate alone is now more than our U.S. defense budget. Scott from Inver Grove. Trump clearly was talking about there'd be a bloodbath in the auto market. He doesn't know how to speak. He has no social skills, and he has no ability to self-edit. He's been pretty much psychologically destroyed at the age of 7. Nevertheless, he wasn't saying if I lose the election, there's going to be blood on the streets.
But that didn't stop.
No, he said if I lose the election, you're going to face more and more of this type of effort to bring in underpriced Chinese cars, and then the auto workers are going to be out of a job, and on and on and on. It was quite clear. John, I think even John Heidt might agree with me.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday.
Yeah.
I didn't think there was anything.
It was not. It's ridiculous, and he's an idiot. But he's right. He's right in this regard.
Well versed in hyperbole. You know, he speaks in hyperbole. And for those of us that think everything that comes from China that runs with a motor is junk, we were right. Were being the main word there. These new EVs that they're making, it sounds like they're the real deal.
Well, fortunately, they're EVs, and the consumer might reject EVs no matter how low price China can make them. I'm old enough to remember when Japanese products were laughed at in this country.
Oh, God.
Just laughed at.
Best motorcycles and snowmobiles and trucks you can buy, and cars.
Apparently, our disdain for their products, that might have just hailed from Pearl Harbor. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that could have been a post Pearl Harbor mentality, but and apparently that didn't let China get down. They just kept working and working and working, and pretty soon, the nicest people you meet are on a Honda, and they're just all coming. Just everything.
Yeah.
And during the poor quality control of the American automobile industry in the 70s, China was edging its nose in with
Japan.
Much better. Japan was edging in with much better quality control.
Yep, without a doubt.
And now our cars, as I said yesterday, every car is pretty damn good. Everyone.
But isn't the much larger issue, though, is what was taken out of context and run with for 36 hours?
Oh, it's being run with to this moment. People can't wait to use bloodbath in a headline. But to me, and I watched it, and I don't like the guy, so I was willing to go the other way on this. But he was talking about the auto industry.
And he was right.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
But that's not going to stop either. All the way up until the election. You guys agree with that, don't you?
Of course I do. Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting to watch if some foreign concern steps in and says, "Hey, Don, we'll sport you that $450 million you need for your bond." I think that would be I would call that a problem.
In exchange for what?
Yeah, but that would be the problem. That would be the problem.
But he traditionally has not been a friend of China. If you remember, during his administration,
right?
There was a lot of beefs with China and trade with China.
But he, what if Putin gave him $450 million? I'm not saying that's in the cards.
He'd take it.
I'm not saying that's in. He'd take it in a heartbeat.
How do you know he hasn't already?
There is a black helicopter scenario out there that he's been in their pocket for 30 years, that they've taken care of some of his debt, et cetera.
Where would Putin get $400 million?
From us.
The safe.
Yeah.
Well, I again, there's no that's just
That's
riffing. There's no there's no evidence of that yet, but
don't even say yet. There's no.
I think the word is yet. I think the word is yet. He ain't going to sell Mar-a-Lago for 10 cents on the dollar. If he does, I'm putting in a bid.
You'd buy it?
I'd buy it.
Okay.
A nice little event center there.
You wouldn't last 2 days there.
Event.
Why
No,
wouldn't
you
I
wouldn't.
last 2 days?
You can't go
Council.
anywhere but home.
That would be home. That'd be
That-
my new house.
When we all
Yeah,
move
you'd
in,
be awfully lonely.
A lot of boats and stuff.
oh,
In a
we do lot.
podcast studio?
Yeah, I have a studio. Didn't
Who's
Rush
gonna
have a
cook-
studio in
Who's
Florida?
gonna cook your raviolis and lay out your shirt and pants?
Nobody
every
lays
day?
out clothes for me.
Do
okay?
your laundry and wash your dishes.
I know how to do the laundry.
Darn your socks.
Yeah, I don't. I'm like Jerry Lewis. If the socks need darning, out they go.
Out they go. Give them to the dog.
Jerry Lewis wore a new pair of socks every day.
That's really
Isn't that a dumb
That's
thing for me to know?
excessive.
That's
Well,
extravagant.
how do you know
That's,
this? Why were you
yeah.
doing so much in-depth detail on
I read it somewhere.
Hey, lady.
Hey,
You
lady.
know what he was? He was an aristocrat.
Yeah, he was. We have a local transgender weightlifter going through the courts. A Ramsey County District Court needs to reconsider whether USA Powerlifting violated the Minnesota Human Rights Act when it barred a transgender woman from competition.
Boy, I hate to lose to her.
In a split ruling Monday, the Minnesota Court of Appeals said a trial was needed to determine if the nation's leading drug-tested powerlifting organization discriminated against J.C. Cooper because she is transgender. The decision overturns a Ramsey County District Court judge who ruled last year there was enough evidence to show discrimination without the case going to trial. So this transgender weightlifter has not won anything at this point. But you look at the headlines in today's news gatherers locally. It makes it sound like the weightlifter has just won a big court case. And I got a note from a judge who writes, who says the media is not biased. Gender Justice says its client won the appeal. So Carol Evan and most others print that as the headline. To be clear, the majority reversed the district court's decision in favor of Gender Justice's client. We did not affirm. No wonder people have no idea what is going on in this state. In other words, the appeal resulted in instructions to this is going to have to be settled by trial. And why a transgender weightlifter gets to compete with women is beyond my understanding. USA Powerlifting had argued it barred Cooper from a competition because she went through puberty as a male and had a physiological advantage over other female competitors. Jess Braverman, legal director for Gender Justice, which is helping to represent Cooper, said they are considering an appeal of Monday's decision. We want folks to know it's illegal in the state of Minnesota to discriminate against transgender people. Cooper filed a complaint with the Minnesota Department of Human Rights in 2019 after she was not allowed to participate in a woman's bench press competition. She had applied for a waiver from the organization's drug-free policy while taking spironolactone, a gender-affirming therapy that lowers the amount of testosterone in the body.
Gender-affirming therapy. Interesting phrase.
Mm-hmm. I say, being the simple mind that I am, if you're a transgender woman who was born a male, you ain't competing against women in a powerlifting competition.
Amen. Right. Sorry.
And
Just the way it is.
if you're pretending now you're a female, but you were born a male, you're not competing in a high school basketball game against a gal. What's the point? Have your own tournaments.
And that's what the powerlifting organization said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and what the transgender community does, you may foghorn that.
Okay.
What the transgender community does is use these kinds of episodes to reinforce the idea that they're special. And by special, they mean they're being discriminated against. They're being marginalized. I would say to J.C. Cooper, I have every reason in the world to cheer for you as a power lifter if you're competing against other men who are pretending that they're women.
Well, she doesn't have a chance with the men. That's why she's trying to compete against the women. I mean, I'm sorry to be so blunt, but that's the simple fact
It's
of the
the
matter.
Leah Thomas situation all over again, right?
Men
It's the
and
swimming
women
thing,
are
yeah.
different
Yeah.
physiologically.
Yeah. So what do you
birds
have
and
to
the
say
bees.
to Jennifer Frisch, Joe, the appeals court judge? She said it was clear that Cooper was discriminated against because she's transgender.
I think she just is a judge who's consumed the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, she's been cowed.
She's been cowed.